Hello, guys. Hello, good afternoon, guys. Can you hear me?
Good afternoon to you.
I can hear you. Good afternoon.
Yeah, sorry, guys, for joining late. Sorry, my network was very, very bad. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes, it's
Loud
clear.
and
Okay. So, I don't know how many people are already in this class. Oh, there are already enough people. So, we're going to be starting our class. Then for today, we're not going to be reviewing much questions and all of that, but I want to at least get up to 10 questions from students or even 5 questions, because I realize that most of you guys are having issues, both the variable, terminating your code and finding your way around the code, both in VS Code and the PHP sandbox. So please, if you are here and you have a question, I'm going to be first of all taking questions from anybody that have questions. If you don't understand any of the things I explained in my video, this is your opportunity to say that please, I do not understand, right? Then I will revisit it again, explain again. If there's anything in PHP you do not get that I have already touched, please, this is your time to say it. Okay, so let's go. If you have a question, kindly answer. And if somebody is already asking a question and you want to ask us, just raise your hand. So please, I'm waiting for questions.
in that video you made,
Yeah.
I maybe it was from my end. I'm trying to I have a little bit of JavaScript array, like the way to write arrays. See that to write arrays in PHP, must you have like put the array like ARR, like spell it out before putting the bracket?
No, as I said it in my video, it is either you make use of the array bracket, which is I think it's called square bracket. Normal name for that bracket is square bracket. It's either you use the square bracket or you make use of the array function. Right, so me, I normally use the square brackets. If it's in PHP, whatever list of stuff you see in that array bracket is already known as an array. So that is what we use to know an array. If you don't want to use the square bracket, you make use of the array function. So I
All right,
think
thank you.
okay. So any more question, please, any more question? Because most of you guys, I think someone was asking a question on Sunday. I just simply took the question as someone that don't understand most of the things that was taught. He was just terminating the code in another line and all of that. So please, if you are here, you have a question or maybe you don't have the courage to ask, just type it, please. So I realize that yes, we are all beginners, right? So I need to at least take it slow, ask questions and all of that. So please, if you think you don't have the courage to ask the question with your voice, just drop it in the chat. I will respond. So I know that every one of you here is following me and I'm not being too fast. So no more questions. Seriously? Okay, fine, no problem. Are you even sure you guys can hear me? Please, if you can hear me, drop an emoji or something. Let me be sure that yes, somebody can hear me because this class is way
We can
too
hear you. We can hear you.
dull. The class is way too dull for how many participants is here? 20 participants. Is impossible for 20 participants not to have a single question. It's impossible. This class is too dull for this amount of number here. Wow. Okay, fine. I just hope not after this class somebody will come to the chat and be like, I explain this one well, or this one, that. Please, you have time to ask a question now. Okay, so I'll be sharing my screen. I thought most of you did not understand the last class. That is the index array, and so many other things I touched in the last class. I think Mr. Zalos has uploaded it. I think he will soon upload the task as well. So I thought you guys did not understand it properly. That's why I wanted to have question and answer session before the class. So since it's pretty sure that every single one of you here understood what I talked, and I believe when the task is job, you'll be able to do what? Answer it. Then let me proceed to the next stuff you're supposed to be learning in the next video. I just thought touch it here. Even the video I will still proceed in even the video I will still proceed to teach it in the video even after this class, so that you don't have sorry, is this class being recorded? Yes, it is. Okay, so I will share my screen. What is in our course outline? Course outline, forms and user input handlings. Okay. Can that be done with PHP Sandbox? Sorry, can you see my screen? If you can, please let me know.
Not yet from my end anyway.
What did you say?
No, I can't see it yet from my end. But if someone can, then I know it's from my side. But I can't see your screen.
Okay.
No.
I can't see your screen either. I can't see your screen.
It's true. I'm not sharing screen. Sorry. Okay. So I'm sharing my screen now. If you can see my screen, let me know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, we can.
So update. Let me refresh this. In our course outline, I think in the past videos that will soon be uploaded, or one has been uploaded already by Mr. Zylos, this was handled and a task should be dropped once you upload it. The operators, the control structures, the functions, array, and string concatenation, right? So I think he has dropped a video on functions, arrays, if I'm not mistaken. Anyways, that's by the way. So okay, so the next thing in our list is forms and user input handling. Forms and user input handling, right? So I'll be touching that in this class. First of all, what is forms and user input handlings? Forms is just like a way of you, the way you used to get informations or details from the users, right? Should assuming you want a user to register in your website, right? You make use of, oh, sorry. Oh my God. Sorry, give me a minute. Sorry. Okay, so I'm back. So form input, should assuming you have oh sorry, what am I doing? Should assuming you have a form or a site where you want users to register, you want to be getting details from them, right? You make use of HTML forms, which is this. And then if you want to be getting details from them, the things they put in there, you make use of handling form data, like they give you that their details, you use form handling of form data, handle whatever it is you get from them, set it, maybe you can display it or save it into the database. That is you connecting to the database, and you can as well validate the funds, right? You can as well validate the funds before you put it. Maybe you want to make sure that the email is emailed, or you want to be sure that the email is not being used twice, right? Things like that, you can do that. So first of all, we're going to be starting with the HTML forms. So first of all, how do you set a HTML form? So if you can either do that in this learning.php file, or you can create another file and name it learning.html. There you can easily set up your HTML structure files. First of all, you have to know the structures of HTML, right? The structures of HTML starts with a tag, HTML tag. Now let me touch the tags for you. We have, oh my God, we have many tags in HTML, which I believe and most of you already know, especially people that have already learned front end before coming into PHP, just to gain more knowledge on back end. There are some tags in PHP, like in HTML, like p tag, which is used for the paragraph, the HTML, which is part of the HTML structure. So we don't do that inside a PHP tag. this is a PHP file. So that is why it's called, at the beginning of this class, I told you can either close this PHP tag or you leave it open. Either way works. But as far as you know that at the end of this, in this same PHP file, you'll be writing maybe a HTML tag, a HTML code, or any other language code, you have to close this PHP tag. That is to telling you this file that whatever that is inside this tag is for PHP, but outside it is not for PHP, right? So let me see if HTML is accepted here. Okay. Had it been it is let me create a HTML file. You need to understand the HTML structure. Okay. .html. So HTML doesn't actually have a HTML doesn't have you say maybe like just like PHP, when you create a file, you first of all start it with a PHP tag. HTML doesn't have something like that. Just create a HTML file. Inside of it has the write the structures of HTML and begin your code. And the structures are like the doc type, the HTML, the head tag, the title tag, and the body tag, and so many other tags that you wish to put in there inside the body tag. So okay, so it has started. um this is the first line in HTML tag, like the HTML structure. Now that I've put in here, I have to set the rest of the HTML, which is the rest of it is okay. HTML. I'm just building the HTML body structure, the HTML structure. That is just by default. Once you type HTML, these are the structures of it. Then you can start in there by writing the necessary text. After the doc type, you put the HTML. After the HTML, the next thing that follows should be the head, right? If I'm not mistaken. I hope I'm correct. Yes. You put in the head. Okay. Inside the head tag, you can have the title. If you are linking your maybe there's an external file like this learning.php file, you can link it inside the head tag. This bootstrap file, the CSS file, and all of that, you can link every other file you want to add to this place inside the head tag, not outside the head tag. I just hope you understand. So by default, inside the head tag, you should have the title. Okay, should have the title tag. So inside the title, you could just give it what do you want the name of it? What do you want to be the title of this file? Let's say user details, right? User details. So after the title, what is the next thing I want to put inside the head? For now, nothing else. So remember that everything must be within this HTML tag, right? That is the HTML structure for you. So after the head tag, we have outside the head tag, you put in the body tag. So we have what we call the body tag. So inside the body tag, whatever it is you are doing in HTML will now be inside the body tag. Both your form input and every other necessary things, the buttons and all of that will be inside the body tag. So now this is just the basic structure of HTML, right? If even if you installed you have your VS Code or PHP Storm, then you create a file, call it .html, then you have maybe auto complete or most of these extensions in VS Code that help you complete your code. If you go to the HTML file and type doc, just doc, the full structure of HTML will come up for you, and you will just go ahead, click tab, and it fills for you. Then you continue with your normal stuff you want to put in there. So now the next thing should be, now that we've gotten our body structure, the next thing we need now is, what is the thing in our timeline? HTML forms. Let's set up our HTML forms. Okay, setting up our HTML forms. So how do you set up a HTML form? We have a form tag in HTML. So this is it. We have a form tag in HTML. So inside the form tag is where we are going to put all of our input and our button. So the first thing you have to know is this. There is action. Inside the form tag, we have attributes. Now the attribute in a form tag is in PHP or in HTML, we have the action and the method. Now, method is the method of your request, and the action is where you want it to redirect to the moment they click on the button. Okay, now this is supposed to be an interactive class, and I feel like I'm talking to the air or making just a normal video that I'm uploading. So if it's going to be that quiet, why don't I just make a video and upload? Then everybody keeping quiet, nobody is saying anything. I think most of you guys are leaving or joining. I don't know, but
Now
everywhere is just
we're
quiet.
sinking it in. We're sinking it in, don't
Everywhere.
worry.
You are doing what?
We're sinking it in. We're understanding what you're saying, but then we
Yeah,
can't just
but
interrupt
at
you.
least it would have been much better that somebody said, "Okay, I ask question. At least let me hear some noise," and that makes it a class of many people, not one.
I have a question.
And hey, if you have question, that's why we are here. Actually, this life class is supposed to be question and answer, not teaching, right? So that anything that I've taught in the videos you don't understand, this is your chance of asking me your task you don't understand and all of that, and your complaints. So because nobody had a question, that's why I proceed to teaching that particular topic. So let it not be that we just came and we left without touching anything. That video I will still be able to, I will still do it again in my class that I will still upload. So please, if you have a question, ask me. I mean, that makes it better.
All right, I have a question.
Okay.
How do you, I noticed that once you type in like this title stuff,
Yes.
you use the command, like it's just like it goes real fast. How do you do that whole stuff? You don't, it's like you didn't say how you did it.
Okay, like when I type in something, the whole thing, the full tag comes up for me.
Yeah, like when let's say this body now, you close
Yes.
yeah, then I don't know
Yeah,
what you did.
that is
Just
autocomplete. I
yeah,
I
how
get it. I think this sandbox already have autocomplete installed because I also noticed that. But in VS Code, I have the extension installed, and once I type something, it automatically completes for me. Then I proceed. In fact, if it's in VS Code, I will not have to stress myself writing all of this. The moment I just write doc, it completes it for me because I have the extension installed. But here, I think it's because now let me delete this. So you see, because I started it with the proper HTML structure, which is this doc type. Without this
okay.
doc type, if I try to type the head tag, will it complete? Let's think. Okay, it will still, because the extension is already there to help me complete most of my tags. And the fact that it's .html, they already know that this is HTML file. So
All right,
you can try it out on your sandbox if it was the same for you. I didn't actually install anything. I just noticed that here.
all right. I understand now. Thank you.
So any more questions?
Yes, mine is more of a suggestion than a question, please. I think
Okay.
maybe okay, like for some of us, or maybe me, I learn
Yes.
better when I see the end product first to know what we're trying to achieve. So maybe if you can start by showing us like the form you're trying to achieve and what you want to achieve before we get down to the page, that would be nice. So it's just a
Oh,
suggestion. If not, no problem.
okay. Okay. So what we are trying to achieve here is just setting up a form that user will just put in their details for us, right? We are just accepting details from the users. So I don't have a sample, and okay, I should be able to get let me click on this login. Okay, now this is like a phone. You see this you are seeing here. Can you see my screen?
Yes,
Is
yes,
a
I can.
form. Somebody set up this as a form. In fact, not somebody, I did when I was teaching somebody Laravel, right? So this is a form, and the input I'm accepting from them is their what? Their email and their password. Once I accept these two things from them, that is when this particular part comes in. Handling form data with either the get method or the post method. So the moment this happens, they fill in these things. These are the input I'm requesting for. I accept it from them, then I handle it. Is either I log them in, I register them, or I view it, or I do with it. So I please. Do you get? So this is just the form we are talking about. You put the input, and this login here is the button. There is not too much about it. And validating, one of the validations that if you see, if I click on login, I have to fill in this email address. I'm not allowed to even, and if I put a wrong email without at, you can say I'm getting this. These are part of what? Validations. Do you understand? So this is the form I'm talking about. There is no big deal. And that is what you're about to set up here. For you to set that up, you have to
Okay.
start with the form tag. Then inside the form tag, you put in your inputs. And then inside this particular form tag here on line 9, inside it, give a space, then put in your method and then the action. Because I cannot write a PHP code here, right? If it's VS Code, I could just, after writing HTML, I could just come down here, come to the up and open a PHP tag and close. Then inside there, I can write my PHP code. Maybe that will display all these things for me. But I think it will also work in this PHP sandbox, though I didn't try out that. But just know that in here, I'm going to be putting two attributes, which is the action and the method. And then inside between these form tags, I now put all my inputs and my buttons. That is what we're going to get at right now. Okay. So here, I will put in two attributes. One of the attributes is action. You can see it's already giving me the autocomplete there again. So action, then we have method, right? So when you are also submitting a file, we are going to
Please,
get
ma,
to that
I have
part.
a question.
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you very much. And please don't be angry.
No
That will
problem.
take a little bit back. Can you
Okay.
please just explain to us? Because right now we are in a PHP sandbox. There are so
Yes.
many things that are here, so many files, Explorer. Can you just go through this, what they are meant for? There's a default here. What is it meant for? I
Okay.
understand that there are some things here that could be used for sharing. There are things I understand, but there are some major ones that I don't really know what they are used for. Please.
Oh, okay. So all these files you are seeing here, it is automatically generated by PHP Sandbox. The moment you
Okay.
choose to build a notebook for PHP standard, they automatically get it here. These
Okay.
files are doing nothing for you. In fact, they are doing something because that's why if it's useless, Sandbox will not put it. But it is none of your concern, none of your business. You're not using it for anything. You're not even touching it. If you touch it,
Okay.
it's not giving you anything. You can see it's empty.
Mm.
So that is just it. All you just have to do the moment you come in, create the file you want to use, or use the index.php file. These are the only file that's working for your own good.
Okay.
Index.php file. You can delete it, which is what is showing this. You can take it out and write whatever it is you want to write inside it.
Okay.
So you can even rename it. That is just it.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Okay, so let's proceed.
Sorry, please. I also have a
Okay.
question. Please,
Yes.
I'm a complete beginner, so maybe for as you are introducing some terms, maybe you can just explain. So right now, under this form, you said action
Yes.
and method. What are they, please?
Yes. Exactly what I was explaining since I said these are the attributes. The, once you have your form tag, there are things a form tag accepts. It accepts some attributes. Now, attributes are the method and the action. Now, what is the action for? The action redirects a user. The moment I click on a button, this is the button we are talking about. I will put a button now. Let me just put it here so it doesn't mean like I'm taking you from different places. Inside this form, I put in a button tag. I can use input to make the button too, the button tag, and then I say submit. Inside this button tag, there must be a type. Type what is it? Submit. So the moment I click on submit, where do I want to this where do I want the user to now go to? Yes, let's assume you fill the form and you click on submit. Where are you now going to? Where is the form taking you to? That is what this action is doing. That is when action comes in. So I want when you click on this submit, redirect them to learning.php. The learning.php, don't get confused, is this file here that I created. So that's where it takes you to. The moment you click on submit, action comes in place and take you to where I want it to take you to. And now what is now method for? So method, it is either is a get method, a post method, a delete method, or a update method. But the one that is mostly constantly used in most of all these things are the get and then post method. Now, what's the difference between the get and post method? If you are accepting things from the user, right, you make use of a post method. If not, those things that the user fills in your form will be showing in this tab. And if it's a hacker, they will be able to see the details the user is filling in this tab here. That is why you make use of what? A post method when you're accepting something from the user. That is for security purposes as well. Then for the get method, it is when you are getting from your own database and displaying to what? To the user. You make use of a get method. Do you understand? For the method, you might be a little bit confused, but the more you dig into the form, get details from the user, you submit it, you display for them, you build a crude application because you are getting far and we are getting deep. You understand more of what that get and post method is for. Do you understand? But for now, just know
Yes.
that get method, it is used to when you're getting something from your database and displaying to the user, right? And then the post method is when you're accepting something from the user. It is for security purposes as well. So now, after you click on submit, there must be a method, and you must specify a method. And in our own case, we want to be getting something from the user. So we are going to be using what? Post. You are going to be using post, right? Now that we've set out the attribute in the form tag and we've created a button, why don't we run this code and see if what we are doing is making sense? Learning.html. So here slash learning, sorry, learn.html. Will it run or not? Let's confirm. Okay, so why is it still in the index? Why? Was it not show HTML? Let me try PHP. So it doesn't display HTML files. Is that it? HTML. Oh, of course it is. It does. So there must be an error somewhere. So you can see it now that this submit button, as far as you use a button, this is how it will look like. Do you understand? It's showing here because I used a button. If I also use an input to make it as a submit button, let me not go too far so you don't get confused. So just understand this, right? Once I click on this submit button, this is where it took me to. Hello
Yeah,
world. It
yeah.
took me to this learning.php and display. Where did I even display hello world in this learning.php? Okay. This is it. So you can see that, right? So the moment I click on this submit, it takes me here. That is what this action is doing for you. Okay, now fine. Let's say we are going to be let's give this button a name too. Okay, let me not go too far. Let's start with input. I want to be accepting the name, the so what should I accept from a user now to make it easy for us? I'll be accepting name, email, and phone number from users now. That is just what we are going to be accepting for them. So how do we even do that? We have to first of all do an input. An input is what they are going to be seeing over there, not just the submit button. And then they fill it in for us and they submit it to us. So let's create an input. How do you start with an input? Open your tag, inputs. When you click on, okay. So this is how you close an input. Input doesn't have a closing tag just like this normal tags. You just close it like this. Now inside the input, you make a space. You put in everything you need. Input accepts many attributes. One of the attributes are name, which you use to recognize that particular input, because you can have thousands of inputs. You can have multiple inputs. In our case, we have 3 inputs. So how do you know each of these inputs and differentiate them? That is when the name attribute does what? Come in. Name attribute comes in. So in this first input, we are going to be accepting name from the user. So we are going to be giving it the what? The name of this input will not be named. That's what we are going to be used to recognize it. Then the second attribute that an input accepts, it doesn't mean it's the second, but these are part of the attribute it accepts. We have class, we have placeholder, we have required, and what are the ones we need right now? We need the required. First of all, let's start with the placeholder. Placeholder. Enter your name. So what does a placeholder does or do? A placeholder is used to tell the user what the input want them to do, right? If you don't want to use label, okay, let me just show you something now. Let's go back to HTML. Let's just refresh. Okay. Now look at it. I put input here. Look at what it's showing here. We have 3, right? We have 3 inputs. You don't even know which one because they don't have any apart from the first input. Now, but if you're a user and you come in and you are seeing these things, do you know where to put your name and where to put your phone number or your email? The answer is no. You don't know where to do that. So it is either you make use of what we call label. Label. So it's supposed to be a tag. You have a tag label. Then you now tell them enter your name. If you refresh this, you can see the first input has a label, enter your name. The second input, you say, let's just copy the same label other than repeating ourselves. Let's say phone. If you refresh this, you can see the other one is, once you come here, you already know that here is for your name, here is for your phone, and here is probably your email. Once you paste it in this one too, email, when you refresh, and this is it. But then in a case whereby you don't like it like this, or you just don't like the way you designed it or something like that, you can see I use label for these ones too, right? You just don't like the way you designed it or blah blah. That is when you make use of placeholder. Or maybe you say in this label, you just say name. The user might not even understand. You can just come in, then you use placeholder to do what? To describe it, so that they will do what? They will understand what you want. If you describe it like this, placeholder, you now say name like Prisca, dot dot dot. So if you refresh, can you see inside it here? So if I come in and see name, I don't even understand what you mean by name. Is it the name of my car? Is it the name of my phone or my name? You now look inside, you see what? Name Prisca. That means I meant your name. So placeholder can be used for what? Description, and also can replace what? A label. So if you cancel this label, I don't prefer using label. Recently, I don't prefer using label. It just occupies my space. So I just come in here, use my placeholder. I will now say enter your name. If I refresh this, I mean, it looks more better. Enter your name, right? Now there is also, we also have another attribute, value. You will think in your mind that value and placeholder works for the same thing, but they don't. Let me show you. Now that we have a placeholder here, can you delete enter your name that you're seeing there? You can't delete it too. But now if you put a value, you put the same thing in the value. You take out your placeholder. You refresh this code. You can see the same thing there. But this time around, this bold. And you can do what? You can delete it and put in your own. So now value is used mostly when you want to edit something, right? If somebody clicks to edit something, it is right and normal for you to show them what they want to edit before, what they already have, what they already updated in the database. If you now show it to them, use value to show to them, that means they have the alternative or the right to now delete what they already have and put in the right one they want to do what? Update. That is when value comes in place. Value can never replace placeholder. So you can use placeholder as what? You can use placeholder as your label, but you can't use value as your label. So I don't prefer label, but you can use what? Label. Because label occupies space. You get it now, right? So now the first input, we have the attribute name. We recognize this input by the name. And then we have a placeholder. But if I click on submit button now without filling this button, this input, without putting my name, it will still submit. What is not the purpose? Just like this one. If I click on login button, there is no way I will submit this form without you putting something for me. I will keep insisting. So how do you make that possible? You put what you call required. That is all you need. Required attribute is not a must. Now, before all these attributes enter, there is one attribute we did not put, which is the most important. We call it what? Type. The type attribute. In other words, this first input, we are going to be accepting a name. What type of what will be the type? Is it an integer? Is there going to be a number? Is it going to be a string? Or is it going to be an email? Or is it going to be a password? Now that's one thing you should think too. So we now use type to define them. Our name, we want it to be what? A string. So you call it test. Now let's copy this whole attribute so of repeating it in the other inputs and put it in this input. But we have to change them. The first input, we are going to be accepting phone from them. The name should be phone. And here we should use it as enter your phone. Required. Then the type can be test. It's a phone number, remember, it can't be a test. What if you put a test? What if somebody put their name in place of phone number and submit for you? And then later in the future, you want to get out the phone number of all the users and send them a message or call them, and you will not be seeing name in place of phone number. It doesn't make sense. So that's why you make use of type to specify what you want them to put for you. Now you're going to be saying number as type. Number as type. Right? So we have the other attribute, the other input, which is going to work as email for us. Then the name will be email, and the type cannot be text or number. It has to be email, so that you not just come in and put Prisca and we go. You not put at gmail.com. That means it's not a valid email address. If we want to now send you email, we'll be getting invalid email. You have to put a valid email address. So we have to say email and then a submit button. Now, if I refresh this, it looks better. But they're all in one line. You can see that this phone, I cannot put a text, but I can put a number, right? My name, I can't. Okay, I can put a number because it's a text. It accepts varieties of things. Email, I can't just write Prisca and click on submit. First of all, it's telling me to fill all these things because there's a required attribute. And even if I fill all these things, fill numbers, and try to submit, it will tell me that this email is not okay. Do you understand now? So that is what all these things works for.
Yeah.
The validation you need is done for you just by using HTML. Then, as we go further, we are also going to do more validation using PHP2 as we go further in this form validation, because we still have another course outline where we are doing a introduction to database. So we cannot just update something in our database without using our hand in the PHP part, checking all these things too, apart from the fact that we've checked it with what? HTML. So now that it looks like this, I don't like it. I want us to break these lines. Let them be in one after the other. Let them not be just in line. So how to do that in HTML? Use a break tag. We have what we call break tag, which is what I taught you guys to concatenate in PHP. A BR tag. BR tag. If you refresh it, it looks better. But let's give it more space. Use another BR tag. Another BR tag. And another BR tag. When you refresh this, it looks better. I mean, this is absolutely good. So now that this is done, what is the next step? The users will fill something for us, and they will go what? And they will submit and go to this place. But then how do we display what? How do we get what they submitted for us? We don't even know how to get it. So how do we do that? First of all, let them fill something. They can fill Prisca as name. Prisca. Phone number, let's say 070 one, whatever number you can think of. Email, we can say prisca@gmail.com. And when we click on submit, it takes us here because they have submitted it for us. So coming back to this HTML part, they click on submit, it takes them to this place with the details they filled for us. How do we get the details in here? Now that's what we are going to be doing right now. Remember, we name our button, we gave it a name. Oh, we didn't give our button a name, we have to also give it a name. Let's call it submit. So how do we get all of these things? First of all, we have to confirm if this button is actually clicked. If you don't confirm that this button was clicked, you will just, if you don't confirm, you just be registering somebody in the database without them even clicking a button. It doesn't make sense. So we have to first of all confirm that the button was clicked. If they click, that means they are sure that they feed everything we required of them and the information they put is correct, and then they will now say submit. We will not take over from there. So how do we do that? We first of all start with if. I told you if condition. I taught you guys this. If condition. Now you put your condition. Now what is going to be the condition? If I set is used to check what? If I actually set that button name and if it was clicked, that is what that if I set is. That's what it stands for. Did they actually click a button called the name here? The name submit, right? So if I set $_ now, how do we now know what the $_ we have to put the method. So go back to your HTML form, check your method. Your method is what? Post. If it's a get, that's what you use there, but our own method there is post. You say if I set $_ what? Post. Then you put your array brackets, single quotes, come back and get the name, submit. And you show what? Submit. Now what have you done? You said, if I set $_ submit, proceed with the necessary code. So that means if they actually click on that submit button, then echo yes. Terminate your code. Remember to terminate your code. Then once this is done, let's go back to our HTML. Let's fill Prisca. Let's fill any number we can think of. Then let's use prisca@gmail.com. Let's click on submit. It's showing us what? Yes. Let's take out that hello word we keep echoing. Doesn't make sense. What is it doing for us? So if you refresh, you are back. Prisca. Phone number. Email is prisca@gmail.com. It says yes. That means we actually did what? Clicked on this button, and when it comes to this learning.php, it is going there with all the things we filled, and it shows that yes, it was actually clicked, and it shows yes. So now that we have confirmed that the submit button is clicked, what is the next step? We have to show what? All the things that the user submitted. So how do we do that? How do you get those inputs? That is why we gave all those inputs what? A name, so that we can easily recognize each input. So we create a variable, call it name for the first input. We now do $_post, which you already know this. Call the name of that input. What is the name? It is a name. You give it what? Name. The other one is phone. $_post. Come back, check the name is also phone. Phone. $_email equals to posts. The name is also email. So with this, we have gotten all the input. Let's just echo out the variable name, comma. We also echo out variable variable email, and we echo variable phone. Okay, so let's refresh. Fill this form again. Now you can see just that everything is in one line. Let's give it, concatenate it with a break tag. Okay, so I keep feeling this form, keep feeling this form. Okay, so we've gotten all the things they filled for us. So guys, do you understand what we did to this point? If you don't, please signify. Do you understand what we did till this point?
Yes, I understand.
Yes, I understand.
Okay. So every single person understood what we did from beginning to the end, right?
Yeah,
And
yes,
nobody has a question.
I have a question.
Okay, please go ahead with your question.
What of, we have our GSM number is 11 digits. So what of if you want to do in such a way that it won't pass the number of digits?
The number of digits. Okay, you can go further with that. I think that is a good question. You can try. I think we make use of in PHP when validating phone number. We use length to check the length to
Okay.
make sure it doesn't pass that one. And in
Okay.
Laravel, it is even more easier in Laravel to check the length.
Okay.
And if you want to confirm the phone number is correct, there's also an external API to do that, or you can use regex. I mean, that one is usually done in Laravel, but we try to use it in PHP. Once we get to this point, I think in my next video we'll be dropping a video for this.
Okay.
Once we are saving into the database, we must validate all of our inputs, confirm the phone number, confirm the email, and we proceed.
Okay.
And even make sure that the email is not duplicate.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is just the little validation we did with HTML.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. So does any other person have a question?
Yeah, I have a question.
Okay.
How do you link your PHP file to HTML file? I did this exact same thing you had on my
Yes.
VS Code, and I'm not displaying anything on my browser.
No, you can't. It can't be possible. First of all, did you create a HTML file?
Yes, I created a HTML file.
Okay. So when you created a HTML file, you created another file, PHP, right?
Yes.
Then in your action, you call that file in your action, right?
Yeah, form action. Yes, form action.
Okay. Then in your button, you gave it a name. So when you click on a button,
Okay.
where is it taking you to?
Okay. Sorry. I've seen my error.
Okay.
I made a mistake in the naming of the PHP file.
Okay. No problem. So does any other person have a question so we could end the class?
Check the chat.
Your voice is echoing. Who was the person that just spoke? Do you have a question? Mr. Nonso is raising his hand.
Yes, I do, but I think Q wanted to say something. That's why I'm waiting.
Okay, okay.
Okay, fine.
When
Let
naming
me just go ahead.
variables. Okay, I think
Let
he
me just go
has
ahead,
question
please.
here. Yeah, let me answer his question. He said, when naming a variable, must I reference the names in HTML? In other words, they are saying, I don't understand reference the names in HTML. Because when naming a variable is in PHP, you name them. Okay, must you access those names in HTML to get the actual input? If that is what you mean, then is yes. Because you cannot name a variable. You cannot get the input from HTML without calling them by their names. So go ahead with your question. I think I've answered him.
Okay, he's asking a follow-up question. That can you give unique names instead of naming them the name of the field or something?
Can you do what?
No, as in he asked a follow-up question, Q, regarding the reference names. He asked another question. You can check the chat.
Okay, another question. Where? Of course, the names I gave is from my own thinking. You can give them any name, but remember to follow a naming convention so that you don't give name to, let's assuming the input is working for address and you go and name the variable of that address. You go and give it name as the variable. So maybe in the future somebody comes to make use of your code or edit your code, they'll be looking for where you name the address and variable. They'll be seeing name, they get confused. So follow naming convention, but it's okay. You can come up with a unique name.
Okay,
Yes, you
so
can use
my question,
any
please.
external IDE for your work. It's not a must is VS Code or PHP Sandbox. You can use any. Okay, go ahead with your question.
Okay, when you are creating the forms in HTML, obviously
Yes.
from the field there was a way to like validate and check what we are putting in. But you also mentioned we could use PHP for it. So what's the benefit of
Yes.
using PHP over HTML for those fields now?
Okay, okay, okay. Like for the required is you can always achieve. Let's assuming now in one way or the other the user, be a hacker or whatever, find a way to maneuver his way and escape this HTML validation. The moment they escape this and come to the PHP part, our own validation will surely catch them. Do you
Ah,
understand?
okay,
And
okay,
for
okay.
PHP, validating, making sure that each input is required is a very long process, except you're using Laravel. So the moment you have done it in HTML and put required, you don't have to do the required in PHP because it's a very long process. You start calling all the input one by one and doing if empty, if this. But you see, if it's in Laravel, you just one line of code is enough for you. Do you understand? So in PHP,
Yes,
making
yes.
sure that each input is required is a long process of code. So the validations you can do in PHP too is just validate the email, make sure that the email is the email, which this is already doing for you. Should in case the user find a way to maneuver their way out of this validation, they will get catch in the learning in the PHP part of the code. And you can also check the length. In HTML, you can't check the length. I think there is a function to check length in core PHP, length of a number or I think so, or a string. Then in core PHP too, we can make sure that in a case where they're registering, the password they use for the confirm is the same password they use for the normal password. So you can make comparison. And in PHP validation, you can also check if the phone number, the name, the email is duplicate. So in case you want them to be unique and you bring out a message for them if it's duplicate. So there is a lot of things to do in PHP that you can't do in the HTML validation. Okay, so that is it. Any more
Okay,
questions?
I have a question.
Yeah.
So far, you have been using PHP Sandbox. What if I
Yes.
want to access? What if I want to use VS Code? Must I create my PHP file and HTML file inside any other directory? Must it be inside the htdocs inside XAMPP directory?
It's a must, though. Because if you
So
don't,
the
it will not be recognized in localhost.
so the index.html file must be inside that htdocs the folder containing your PHP file.
Every folder you are creating that you are using to write a PHP code must be found inside htdocs. This is the reason. XAMPP is installed. Once XAMPP is installed, if you go to your browser and type localhost, you will see the things you need to see, even your PHP admin, right? If you do a slash, it becomes a dashboard. So for you to be able to access any of your PHP projects on the browser, it has to be inside where there is a local host, which is the XAMPP, and inside the XAMPP htdocs. So every of your folder that has to do with core PHP, not Laravel, has to be where? Inside the htdocs. Then you can open it in any of your VS Code, any of your IDE, that is just your development this thing IDE, anyone that you're using for it, either Sublime, PHP Storm, VS Code, anyone. You can then open the folder there. Inside the folder you open there, you can now start creating your files. So that when you go to your browser, you do localhost slash that folder slash the file you want to see what is inside. Do you understand?
The local slash that folder, the slash the file. Okay.
Yes, that folder you created inside
Yeah.
htdocs. You open it to your VS Code. You now do localhost slash the name of that folder, then slash whatever file you've created inside that folder that you want to display.
Okay, sir. Let's assume I've visited my index or my localhost slash the folder beginner then slash index of HTML file created. So when I click on something linked to the PHP file in the folder, it should automatically link to that PHP file.
Yes, because you're in the same folder now. It will.
Okay.
I think even in this particular course outline here, I think I will be using VS Code or PHP Storm. I'll be using VS Code for this particular, because I don't think in PHP Sandbox I can connect to PHP admin database. But I will check that out before our next class or the next video he will be uploading, so we'll know which one I will be using. So if I am using it, if you have any further questions, I could also answer.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, so any other question, Mr. Abiola Timothy, you're raising your hand.
Good afternoon, everybody. My question is relating to the question asked earlier about linking PHP to the HTML. So sorry,
Okay.
we're currently working with the form, and then you said that we can link it through the action, right? So I want to ask, what if I'm not like currently working with the form, right? For example, maybe looping, creating a loop, maybe a for each loop, right? And I'm trying to display my HTML, right? So for example, in JavaScript, we have like a script tag where we can like link through, maybe through the SRC. So is there a way for me to link through from the PHP to the HTML like that also?
My question now is, if you are writing a loop, if you are looping through list of numbers, that is array, and then you are echoing those arrays, so why are you linking? What is taking you to PHP file or HTML file?
That if I want to display in the HTML with PHP.
So is that not, well, as far as you're not using a form, right? You can use header. You understand? That is header. Header that the moment something like this is done, it will now redirect you to a particular file. But I don't see the reason why you are looping through list of arrays in a PHP file right here, that when you display it, will echo it out for you, and you still want to go to another file. But then if that is not the case, or whatever it is, you can make use of what we call header. Look at my page here. We have header. Okay. It's called header. Inside this header, you put location. Then you now put the name of that PHP file you want it to take you to. Do you understand?
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
That is it. That is another way to take you to another file. Okay, so any more questions?
I have one more. It's not to take you back.
Okay.
Can you please give me a brief rundown of how the if statement works in PHP?
Okay. So this is it here. An if statement used to give a condition or to check if a condition is met, and then you display what you want to display. Just like what I did here. You can see on line 3. I use an if statement and I said, if I set this, right, show me this. If there's a way, if in any situation I want to add an else condition, that means I said if this condition is not met, don't run the code inside it, just echo something like this, right? So that is just an if condition. There's nothing much. Use it to give condition. And then in a case whereby you want to display multiple conditions, like let's say we create a variable grade, then the grade is 80, then you write if grade equals 80, then echo maybe yes or maybe A. Oh, where is this one? Oh, sorry, I think I didn't even realize what I was writing. Then as if you want to have multiple what condition. As if, what if the grade is not equals to 8? You now say if the grade is equals to what? 70. You echo what else you want to echo? B. Just know that if condition or if statement is used to give a condition or display something when a particular condition is met. That is just what is working for you. Do you get it?
I get the whole concept of if. I think it's the syntax they used in that first one. Like when to use I set, like I don't is that supposed to like that first one?
It
If
is
I
you that
set,
is not,
then
it's you that is not understanding me. Now let me explain better. This is the if condition that you know, right?
yes.
I come inside here, I give my condition. Now my condition differs. In this case, the condition I want to give is to check if they actually click on the submit button. Abi?
Yes.
Now, how do you check in PHP if a button is clicked or if something is clicked or if something is set? How do you do that? How you do that is to use we have a function called iSet. People call it, some
Okay.
people pronounce it as iset. Why I pronounce that
Okay.
iset? It sounds more
Okay.
reasonable to me that way. So how do I now check in PHP if a button is clicked or if something is set? You use a function called iSet. This is a function. Now inside that
Okay. Yeah.
function, you now call up what the button you want to call up. And how do you call up a button or a particular input in HTML? You use what we call $_posts. Then
Okay.
square brackets, call the name of that button, which is submit. This does it for you. Do
Okay.
you
Okay.
understand? So
Yeah.
that is just, I can also do the same iSet here. If should in case there is a reason for it. Is it not the same thing to you now? I just put it in my condition. You get,
Okay.
Abby? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So does any other person have a question? I think you can use PHP Storm without the coupons. Though I have not tried, but they have somebody said they have a student version. I think you can, but that is if you have to find a way around it. Okay, so I think that is all and the end of our class for today. So thank you guys for joining, and I wish you luck in your tech journey. So please remember to practice, because practice makes what perfect. So thank you and bye.
Thank you.
Yeah.